All right, good evening, guys. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late today. I was doing a couple things. And I looked over and I was like, "Oh God, it's 9 o'clock." Do a quick little sound check, see if you guys can hear me. Okay. I see the red bar, so it should be fine. But it's always nice to ask and see if you guys get it. I see some tickets coming in. Oh, there we're gonna go here. Thank you very much, Corey. I appreciate it. Very helpful. All right, guys. So obviously today, not huge moving day, obviously with markets and things like that close and really no news except the monetary policy meeting notes. And you guys will see the Aussie's down about 37 in the last 24 hours. Really in the last, I'd say what, hour and a half, really most of the Aussie pairs have moved. Some of the New Zealand pairs have moved pretty well as, that has been pretty nice too. So I don't know if you guys have been taking advantage of that today or not. I know some people when they see markets close, they're like, I'm not going to trade it. But again, currencies, it's only closed for the United States. There's definitely more places to trade. So in the last 24 hours, you can see the euro is down a little bit, and again, most of that, it's kind of spread out, right? But it's only about down 12. Again, not too surprising. Pound dollar down 52. Again, that's a little bit obviously we're seeing that pound weakness across the board on this one. You're seeing the euro pound up, the pound yen down, and the pound dollar down. None of them hit their ATR for the day, so again, again, it is a bit muted still for the day. Dollar yen -3, and again, most of that has been retraced in the last 60 minutes. So really nothing there. Dollar Swiss, nothing there. Dollar CAD, really nothing there as well. And then Aussie dollars, I mentioned before, -37. So that's kind of it for today as far as the news of the day, right? Obviously, the Australian monetary policy notes. I thought this was interesting too. Apple warns of revenue guidance due to production delays. Like, okay, sure, but Apple said that they've had production delays before. And remember, like when they released iPhones, like they predicted how many iPhones they were going to sell, but they only built like 25% of them. They could have produced more, but they just was like, nah, we're going to sit on for a couple months. We're going to release them in stages. So I mean, Apple does this; they kind of mess around all the time anyway. I wouldn't put it past Apple to actually not have production delays, but say it because that's what people would assume just so they can kind of mess with the supply and demand aspect of things. I do think this is interesting too. You're seeing residents are banned from leaving their homes. Man, I wish I had like some type of a drone, or I wish like satellite technology was awesome so we could like actually see what it looks like right there. No, yeah, right. Honestly, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's Apple will say these things. Oh, go, we can't get our stuff produced. Yeah, okay, sure, if you say so. Um, Whatever. I don't really believe it. Apple's another one of those companies that they've proven in the past that they will do anything they can to manipulate the public. So it's kind of like the company that cried wolf, right? But residents are banned from leaving their homes. I think is pretty interesting. When you click on this one, authorities are basically saying that they've announced new measures to halt the disease. It's like okay, all right. I don't know. I kind of feel like this is almost like Darwin's theory at this point, right? I feel like they created it and they're the ones that are wiping themselves out. The harsh restriction on top of numerous wartime measures already in place were necessary to fix loopholes and combat the spread of the disease. It's like, okay, I don't know. I mean, if they're making it seem this bad, I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to see like a camera on the ground. Like I feel like we need to send in the drones or something like that, right? I don't know. And the other news of the day, what do we got over here? King Jong Un spent 50, 500, God, 500 grand importing horses from Russia. So you see what like the high news of the day is, right? I mean, they're ranked obviously, kind of all over the place. And besides that, really not much. We do not expect to meet revenue guidance for the March quarter. Like, okay, all right, sure, right. Poor Apple. And that's basically it. China will start destroying cash collected in areas with high exposure. So now it's spreading on money, which I think is interesting. Again, money is dirty. We know that anyway, but now they're destroying the cash. I think that's pretty interesting. I did hear the other day that there are people like there is like not vaccines or whatever, but they're coming up like there's companies that are basically like, yeah, we're almost there. We've almost got it. So I'm not sure. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Just tells me. I know, right? Unfortunate. Yeah. Wait, Vanessa? Oh my God, she's here. Yeah, no, Vanessa, I'd have to see a street cam. I wouldn't trust CCTV. It would have to be an actual, like, you know, unaffiliated, non-state controlled, like, camera view. I want to see what it's like. I want to see if we're like talking like, you know, you guys remember Resident Evil when Alice left the police station? I'm trying to figure out if that's what their streets look like at this point. Because if they're at that stage, then maybe I'll take it serious, right? But at this point, it's like, I don't know. So we'll see. All right, so that's all we have going on really for today. Like I said, not too much. Going into tomorrow. So tomorrow we got a little bit more going on. First things first, 4:30 a.m. we have the pound average earning index. It's not a huge, I mean, it's not really a huge market mover, but it's always nice. The pound is obviously very sensitive right now. Again, you saw a little bit of Brexit news over here. It says Britain won't accept EU oversight on fair competition after Brexit. Again, not surprising. They're going to play hardball on that one. And then again at 5 o'clock, we have German ZEW economic sentiment. So economic sentiments are always important. European Union has shown a lot of weakness. So again, getting a weak Germany, getting a weak economic sentiment out of Germany is probably a good thing. If we got that, we would see continued euro weakness. And again, it's only down 13, but I'd love to see this at like 65 tomorrow. That'd be awesome. Again, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Let's go for parity. CAD, manufacturing sales, month over month. Again, manufacturing is always a good one. It kind of foreshadows what we see coming into the future. Again, dollar CAD has been kind of back and forth, right? Again, we had some CAD weakness today, some dollar strength. So we'll see what manufacturing. Interesting enough about this one. I don't know if you guys saw the weekly report this week. I have it here. I'll show you guys real quick. And also, guys, remember, the $10 is for 30 days. I don't have this, it's not set up as a subscription at the moment. But remember, it's $10 for 30 days. Oh, we're getting responsive. Here, let me show you guys. If you guys didn't see it, I'll probably put that on the cover. Preview. I'm pulling it up over here. I don't know if you guys saw it or not this week. On the high potential news release. Okay. I've actually marked it off. Things that are parabolic retracement targets. Okay. Not all of them are. Majority of them are like flash manufacturing, not flash. Obviously, this is not as well, but there are different ones in here that will give us, potential parabolic retracement. So I'm going to mark those off, and again, that's based off the track record that I've kept of them, of what their possibilities are. So that's something new that was also added into the report. I don't know if you guys can see it here. I'll make it a little bigger. There you guys can see. So I've added this last category, PR, and then again, when they are different, when they have the ability that they are a target for parabolic retracements, that's where they will pop up in there. I forgot one of those. All right. So we got that going on. So that again, CAD is going to be on there as one of the potential things that you could play a parabolic retracement off of. Again, manufacturing is one of those things that it's like, yeah, it works. You can do it off of that. One other curve locations. Wait, where is it? Doing two things at once here. So again, that is a new category that we have added to help you guys out for parabolic retracements. And then tomorrow night at 7:30, we have the wage price index. So wage price index is one that will tend to move the Australian dollar. Again, Australian dollar is also kind of at risk right now with the coronavirus. Anytime anything bad comes out, it does, affect that. Pretty much across the board, you're seeing all the pairs go straight down, minus the Aussie New Zealand. That one you were seeing go up. There was a couple pretty nice little setups from last night into today that you could have taken for this one. All right. So that's it for news going into tomorrow. So let's just jump right in the charts. Let's flip. Oh, by the way, for those of you that didn't see again the weekly report this week, whoops, hold on, I gotta hit save. Bam. It was another good week for the gaps. This week we had plus 50 in the Sunday night gap setups. Two of them got front run. Two of them. I'll show you guys that in the charts. Two of them got front run, and I did not count that into the totals. But two got front run, one broke, one basically got hit at break even, and then one of them hit for -5. So lost 5 pips on the Sunday night gaps. With those two front run ones, that figure actually got pretty jacked up. That one was pretty nice. The Sunday night opening and demand or supply, those actually did really well as well. Four different setups of those, all 4 of them hit for plus 96 pips. So again, another 146 pips for the Sunday night kind of weekly gap / weekly supply demand zone setups. There's a couple other ones that were very, very close, but they didn't qualify for the actual setup, but they ended up still running back to the target. So very productive Sunday night if anybody was actually out there trading it. Like I said, typically by 5:15, 5:20, you guys will see this report updated every single week. Basically assume it will be updated. The only time it won't be is if I let you guys know ahead of time that it won't be updated. But for the most part, because the market's open, it's going to be updated pretty much every week. All right. And like I said, that's $10 for basically 1 month. So for 4 reports, so $2.50, 3 pips a week in a mini is what it'll cost you to get access to that report. And it brought in 146 pips. I think we're at. I'll have to keep track of it, but I think we're close. We're close to that. getting close to that 300 number for this month. And again, these come out every single week. All right. For the report, when we sub, it resets 30 days from the day we sub. Yeah, it's 30 days from when you sub. Yeah. And the reason, and here's the thing. If I don't have Stripe set up on this for the company yet, Stripe lets you do it where it's a subscription where it would bill basically the same time every month. There is a way to do it on YouTube. I'm not sorry, PayPal. I just haven't set it up yet. It's kind of a separate process, and it doesn't integrate directly in. So right now it's just set for a 30-day subscription. So whenever you do it, it's $10, and then in 30 days it will kind of go out. All right. So again, if it's timed right, you can get more than 4 reports out of it. All right. So, and again, other things if you guys don't know inside of there, let's see. Can I do the preview of the course? I guess I could do the preview of the course. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just pull this one up. This is the way I look at it from the inside. But you guys can see it has the high potential news releases. It has a summary for the week. Actually, I don't change the name of it. I guess it's changed on here though. So you have your summary of the week, you have your potential news releases, as well as cautionary reports. You have your weekly curve locations. Again, this is very, very interesting. I talked about this week that we have basically all the European pairs low on the curve, all the pound high, and then all the Aussie is basically low as well. It's interesting. This is kind of bringing back to old school currency trading. It also has your Sunday night gap strategies, and then it also has your supply and demand zones for all the pairs that we will cover, as well as oil, gold, NQ, YM, and ES. Okay, so again, we added those as well. Yeah, so a lot of work in there. It takes a few hours to put it all together. But again, I just kind of spread it out during the week and then upload it all at one time. All right, so that's the weekly report. All right, so let's go into the charts. Let's click over here, and we will start over here with the Aussie dollar. So let's bring this one back. You guys can see, nice little kind of piece over here, right? So we'll load this back up again. You guys can see dropping down to a 4-hour. You can see we took this bounce last week off this demand zone. And again, we had a nice little kind of gap down and then retest up and then just kind of continued to push away from that area. It did hit a level of basing and again, not only formed an area of supply, but came back up, touched it, and then continued to push down. As you can see over the last 4 hours, it has been pushing down, dropping down to an hourly. Again, you can kind of see what we're dealing with, right? Here's that touch that we talked about before, came back down, and we're waiting for this to come back a little bit lower. Now, this zone down here is very, very small. I would probably go back and use this zone a little bit lower on that one. And again, here's your 30-minute on this one, okay? Now, again, this is one of those other ones. You guys can see that there is where we had the gap fill, right? And again, I can draw this one. Here's, for those of you that know the Sunday night gap strategy. There you go. We ended up going there. Okay, we ended up taking the fill. We ended up hitting our 3-to-1 and your 1-to-3 and your 5-to-1. So again, this was a nice little gap strategy you guys could have played last night as well. Since that time, again, it came back up, and you guys can see where the actual touch was. Okay, over here. Hold on. It was in here, right? Here's your pop, and again, I would have drawn it probably. Wasn't a bad one. You could have used the green or the red on this one. Here, I'll make it a little bigger for you guys. Bam, right in here. Again, you could use the green or the red. You got this one, and again, risk to reward wise, there you go. You guys can see there was your 1-to-3, which again probably wasn't horrible. And the reason why the 1-to-3 isn't bad is because it is sitting here in front of the Sunday night gap. But your 1-to-5 was fine, and then again, it just continued to push lower. And really, we never got a green, red, green. So technically, you could still be short this position. At this point, you'd be up a total of about 44 pips. So this was a nice little Sunday night one into Monday, basically all day. And again, it's heading back down into these demand levels. And those demand levels start down here at 66.74. So, again, let's wait till they get down there before we start looking about longs, okay? We always want to get in at the, in a deal opportunity. So still got a little bit to go, about 15 pips before we get down there, and then we could potentially be looking for longs. This is another one right here, okay? This one you will see, again, this one kind of was a little bit strange, right? This one kind of hit low, didn't quite come all the way down, and went straight up. Let me reset the, there we go, okay? You guys can see here's where the gap was, right? And literally just went straight back up again and just kept moving through. So this was one of those ones that, it hit and kind of pulled away and was up over 1-to-1. But for the most part, this thing was looking for orders and wanted to go higher, 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 and higher. And again, you've seen it push down, and again, the New Zealand weakness lately, this thing has popped up again. So really on this one, I'm kind of waiting for this one to come back down into this lower green zone. This one is down over here at 104.06, which is actually not a bad buying zone. We can see that last time in this kind of up and down spike, it hit it and bounced. And then top side, we have two different possible entries. We have this first one, which is a little bit more aggressive. And then again, this one up here, which is, obviously a bit more conservative. They are in the middle of the curve, so just be, a little bit aware of that. Jump into a 4 hour, it kind of gives you a better idea of top and bottom where they are. So fine zone down here at the bottom. Again, this is a very nice zone at the top. At base, it went down, it didn't go back further, came down, pushed up again. So again, we definitely have some sellers up top. We had our larger time frame right above that as well, so we do have a zone on top of a zone. This first level is starting at 104.90 and goes up to 105.04. This bottom side, again, this is a little bit bigger of a range. This is about 20. I like to make it a little bit smaller, but for the most part, it's already hit one time, two times, almost gapped into it. It was so close, and then kind of bounced off of again one time. And again, we're in a downtrend right now, so we're not looking to buy in that downtrend, but we're also not looking to sell. If anything, at this point, I want to see what happens when we touch this zone and see if we can potentially get a break and then play this back down to this lower level here. All right, so go from here down, that's about 67 pips, 68 pips to the downside. I think that would be a pretty nice target in this kind of continued Australian weakness, right? All right, let's go across to Aussie Yen. Okay, so Aussie Yen was extremely weird. Okay, yeah, this one was strange. So Sunday night gap wise, this one got front run. Okay, here's how. Price opened here, came down, and again, it should be. Here's the thing. It's right there. Okay, technically, you may have gotten filled on this one. Okay, it's possible that you got filled on this one. Okay, you guys can see. Based off of the 30-minute, it's a little bit low. But again, because we were kind of in this pull-up here, you got to kind of mark off the whole loan. So if we just do it based off the 30, you did not get filled. You missed by about a pip. Okay. Had you drawn it off the hourly, you absolutely got filled on this one. Okay. So it was kind of strange. So I had this one labeled. I was looking at it on the 30-minute at the time. I had this one as marked as being front run. It came all the way down, and then what did it do? Boom! It went all the way up and hit its profit target. So we technically did not get our entry. We got front run. It went all the way up, touched our 5-to-1. Then it came all the way back down and actually would have given us the entry. Okay. And then what did it do? It went through its 1-to-3 and went right back up and touched its 1-to-5 again. So you actually had two different shots. And again, remember, I'm trying to be as conservative as I can with this weekly report. I was kind of tempted. I was like, technically, we didn't get filled here, and if you had not watched it, if you set and forget this one, it did come down, it did fill you, but I tried to stay conservative. I counted it as a 0. I mentioned it lower, but it did not count it in the results for the week. I gave it a category as front run, that we just missed the entry on this one. Had you taken off the hourly, you were good, but again, that's what we got. So looking at this one in the 4 hour, you can see, okay, we do have definitely levels of supply above. We have demand below. This is quite a large demand area. And it's kind of in this middle, kind of sideways channeling. So I'm actually not going to use this as any type of buying area. I'm going to wait till we get much lower into this zone down here and probably look to do something along those lines. We'll see what type of basing it does in this zone. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking to do right now. All right. Let's see. Let me delete this. So yeah, so you guys can see the frustration. I was like, oh God, it was back and forth, but I didn't count it. So didn't count it, even though I probably should have, but it is what it is. All right, so again, this one is more based off a 4 hour, looking for basically a break of this zone, and I guess you could play it down. It's about 40 pips, so there is a break of this zone to the bottom side, but again, conservative, I'm looking for this on the bottom side, and this would be coming from the top side. All right, so that's Aussie Yen. Looking across at Aussie CAD, okay, you can see Aussie CAD. Let's bring some new data in here. You can see on the 4 hour, actually, I'll start this one up on the daily. Okay, so on the daily, you guys can see price has been up here, right? It's just going down, 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 down. It finally put a base in. We ended up hitting it last week, and then it popped, and then kind of came back down again. So we're still sitting in the area of demand technically, right? On the 4 hour, you can see that level of demand is just refined just a little bit more, right? We're just entering the top of that area. Again, last time we hit here, it bounced. It's starting to kind of move sideways right now. So it's kind of like, are we ready to take a long? And the answer is, don't know. I'd probably wait for a break of this zone before I'd go short in there. Okay. Even looking at it on an hourly, you can see that it's actually a little bit lower. And same thing with the 30-minute. When you click 30-minute, it's just slightly lower. It'd be nice to get into for some type of a pullback, but unfortunately, it's just not there. I feel like if we were taking this one, we'd be trying to push this one. We'd be trying to jump onto it after it's really had that really big kind of push to the downside. Typically, after a large drop is not when you want to go short. If it's going to drop, you want to make sure it doesn't bounce off a demand zone. You wait for it to pull back to a really clean area, and then you get short. We don't have that yet. Again, we have some areas higher. This one's okay, but there is a wick behind it. So it's kind of one of those things. I mean, this one is so linked right now to the coronavirus. I mean, literally any day something else could come out, and this will continue to push farther down. Because again, Australia is extremely linked with China as far as the economy goes. So longer it drags out, the more weakness we will see in this one. Okay, and it wasn't like Australia's had a lot going on. I mean, Australia had the wildfires that was, remember the koala bear drinking the water bottle. So we've had a lot of stuff going on with Australia, unfortunately. It's just continuing to get weaker. Aussie Swiss, kind of the same thing. You guys can see this one came back up and touched this demand zone on the 30-minute last week, and then just going straight down. But nothing's clean until we get back down to this lower level. So this lower level, if you guys want to mark this one off, this lower level is 65.46 down to 65.42. And again, I do actually like this level. I think that's quite a nice little pop. Again, we had a nice little base. It kind of rode along the top, got some clearance, came back, grazed the top, and then boom, was off to the races. So definitely some buyers down in that area. I'm definitely a fan of that one. So again, waiting for us to get down. We need to go about 15 more pips. It's going to take about another 2-3 hours if it continues to go straight down. It may kind of get quiet overnight, but that's where I'd be looking for some type of longs. Looking on the 4-hour, you can see also we are kind of sitting in the middle, right? We have our gap, which actually is right here. Okay, you guys can see we bounced right off of the gap here. And again, we have an area here. So we're kind of smack in the middle. Ideally, we'd like to go long when we get down here or short when we get up top. So it was close. Again, here's the gap on the 4-hour. If you guys were looking at it, it's right there. You guys can see we literally grazed right off the top. Okay. All right, so that's where we are. And again, Aussie Swiss is not something everybody trades. Aussie Singapore, you guys can see this one is it had that crazy ascent, and now it's starting to push back in the other direction. Okay. And again, nice little 4-hour zone. It's in the middle. We need to wait for it to come lower. And to be honest, I probably won't take a long off this area. I'm still short bias this pair at this point. I'd like it to see chip through some of this, but if we can actually break through really kind of where this gap down to, there's something sitting here. There's a lot to the downside. I mean, for me, looking at this one on a daily, I mean, it was literally straight up and then had a failure to go higher. I'm looking for a retrace all the way back down again. So I'm all over this one. I definitely think this is some good potential here. Okay, so that's the Aussie pairs. Let's go over to the Canadian pairs. GM's pulling out of Australia too, really? That's interesting. I hadn't read that. What do I have? My classes are inside there. Wait, what? When we sub it, recess. Okay, got it. My classes are inside there except for the 5-minute binary. Oh, I don't have the. I don't. Yeah, because we have like 300 and something 5-minute binary people. I haven't uploaded all the client databases for that, but everything else should be good. Yeah, forex master and parabolic over there. Yeah, I like the new portal as well. The new portal is nice. And here's one of the cool things about the new portal. It's funny. Interesting enough, like we've gotten 16 new people to sign up for updates through the portal since Saturday. I'm like, I don't know where these people are coming from. I mean, I didn't push anything for marketing, but people are getting signed up for it, which is great. I really do love the new portal. I have some really cool functions I'm going to add to it. One of the things being is I can actually request homework from you guys. So you can download a PDF, fill it out, and actually upload it back to me, which is actually, I think, a very, very cool feature. As you guys know, one of my missions last year is I really, really, really want to create this full funded program, this funded trader program that will include mentoring and everything else. And I even think I'm going to probably, I honestly, I think I want to put like a money back guarantee on it as well. But it's going to require like a lot of effort. There's going to be an application for it. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's going to be access to all the classes. And it's also going to include like weekly mentoring sessions. But again, the goal is within a certain specified period of time, you will have earned a funded trader account. Okay. And if you don't, again, it's obviously it's on me at that point. I need to make sure that you guys do. But again, I think I'm going to put some type of a guarantee on there. It's like, listen, this will help you get through your funded trader account if you follow all the rules. If you do not, again, I'm able to see it. I can't do anything about that. If you're just going to take the education to mess it up then and not use it, then I can't help you. But for those traders that want to meet with me on a weekly basis and pass this, get a funded trading account, again, that's what it'll be. It's going to be a lot of one-on-one, a lot of homework, but again, it gets you guys where you wanted to be in the first place. All right. So, all right. So, look at this guy. Okay. Talk about an absolutely crazy, crazy, crazy one. So this is the one that actually we got stopped out on. And the reason why is I should have done a little bit more analysis on this one. It's always hard because I got to kind of hurry up when the gaps are there so I can get the report out in time to make them tradable still, because some of them are pretty close. This one, I was like, hey, you know what? I got enough room. This one kind of, I should be good. All right. I got plenty of space. And again, I rushed it. We did actually open inside of a demand zone. So again, this is one of those ones that I should have marked it off correctly. And again, I took the loss. Again, I put it on the report, full transparency, but we opened right inside of this area. From there, and I'll take this, move this out of the way. Okay. Here are your fibs. I'll extend them. You guys can see there. Here, actually, let me get rid of the green. See, here is the area. There to there. There you go. And this would have been fine because your 1 to 3 was right before the gap. Your 1 to 5 was on top of it. And actually, I threw a 1 to 10 in there because I have one of the 1 to 10. But you guys can see it actually opened right in the area, went straight up. This one actually, even though I put it on there, you guys can see this one, like literally, I don't think anybody would have been to actually play this one. Okay, so I'm actually kind of glad that this one kind of stopped this out because, I mean, here's the first 5-minute candle. See? I mean, literally opened right in that zone and went whoop, we're all the way back up again. So when it was basing here, I was like, okay, yeah, I was like, it's still valid. So I should have just not done it, but I make mistakes too, and it is what it is. But but how crazy is that? I mean, literally, here's the zone. In the first 5 minutes, it went from here all the way up to what's 1 to 3, retrace the gap. I was like, man, I'm like, look at this. I'm like, okay, it went right back up and it's stopping. Okay, we can take the short off of this one, and I got caught. But again, it was only like a 5-pip loss on that one, so whatever. And now it's starting to kind of crash back down again. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's what happens when you have to do things at a little bit faster of a speed. Again, the indicator was not able to help me on this one. But again, level of basing, right? It dropped, level of basing, and boom, a pop out of that area. And then it opened there. So I should have looked to the left, but it moved so fast. Moved so fast. Wah, wah, wah. But where we are right now on this one, like I said, on the daily, you guys can see on the daily, we are in an area of supply. So again, you got to be thinking short on this one. Okay. And the curve wise, this one is sitting in the middle. Again, looking at this on a 4-hour, you can see we didn't quite get up. We got close, right? We got close, but actually didn't get up. And again, here's the white zone that I marked off, and then bam, the indicator marked off a zone at the same level. So it's just funny how that worked out, that we are in the same area. Again, there was your first trade off of it. So it's moving. Again, we've retraced this green box. I'll remove that to clear it from the chart. So hoping we get a little bit higher. Again, if we do push up, I would be willing to take that. But at this point, I do think it is going to come probably back down again. And I don't really necessarily have a buy signal down here anywhere for me, at least till we get close to the bottom. I think we are probably due for a full retrace. So CAD Swiss, and nothing really crazy for me. CAD Yen, you guys can see, this one has literally come all the way back up and all the way back down again. So this is one of those ones we had set up from last week. God, we set this up. I don't even know what day we set this up. Thursday, Wednesday, maybe? Thursday, I think we were up in here and we did it one time. Well, we barely touched the zone, which means it's valid for a second attempt. And you guys can see, what did it do today? It came back up and it came all the way back down again. It's already past its 1 to 3 and it's approaching a demand zone right now. So you'd be taking yourself out. So this trade set up from last Wednesday, Thursday, you just banked 33 pips on this one as well. Okay. This one was about 1 to 4, probably one like 4.2, 4.3, something like that. So again, looking at it on the daily, again, in an area of sellers. Okay, on the 4-hour, kind of the same thing. You guys can see we came back up, grabbed this 4-hour zone, and that's what shot us back to the downside. So, it's actually, we've hit twice off the same area. And then again, the 1 hour is the zoom in of that. I would not get short it now. I mean, we're already in a short pattern in this one. If you're looking for, some type of continuation pattern, again, you can pull up, grab it, and then shoot to the downside. Okay. Yeah. Nice trade from here. Not as nice trade down here. So this one has probably already passed us by. Okay. Looking at the Swiss. Okay. Let's pull this guy back. All right, so on a daily, you can see we are sitting and resting down here. I'll take this off so we can kind of clean this one up a little bit. There we go. You guys can see we are bouncing off of this level of demand. Now, it's a huge level, so again, it's not really an actionable item, but we are basing off of it, so we already know it's sitting there. Dropping to a 4-hour, you can see this is the top side of that. This entire area is being marked off on the daily, but you can see we're kind of in this area. We've been here before, so it's not really an actionable target. There wasn't really an excellent way to grab this one, and I don't think it's about 60 pips to the downside. This area itself is about 11. So if we can get a clean break and get to an area where we can actually see some kind of black below this area, that wouldn't be a bad little trade setup. And what you would do is you would set this one up to the downside this direction. Okay, you'd be looking at something along those lines, right? Make sure we have a break. Get some black space underneath. Again, that would be a continuation pattern to the downside. Breaking this old level of demand would become supply. Drop through, tag this area, and again, your 1 to 3 is right here, your 1 to 5 is right here, right above. Both of these two are right above the opposing demand zone. So absolutely perfect placement of the targets to take this to the downside on the 4-hour. All right, so that would be the trade. And again, the 1 to 10 was for something else. Just ignore that one for right now. But that's what we got going here. This would be your 1 to 3, and then your 1 to 5. Okay. All right, so that would be the Swiss pair. Let's go down and touch the European pair. I know there's some crazy. There's been a bunch of crazy little candles in here. All right, so Euro Aussie. All right, so on the daily, you can see we took a kind of a turn off this level. Not the best demand zone. Again, a lot of wicks in here, not super strong. And again, it's trying to do a little bounce off of it. Would have been an actionable target off of the daily. Looking at the 4-hour, you can see it did have a little area. Again, it touched it here, didn't make it as low. Kind of did the same thing here. It's an okay area. It's small, right? It's small in in its relativity to everything else, but it's not too bad, right? Dropping down to an hourly, we get a little bit better of an idea, right, of what was going on, right? You guys can see we're kind of in the middle of a range here, not too much in there. These we can take out. And then dropping down to a 30-minute. Bam. There we go in the 30-minute. All right. Again, not really any type of a gap. We put in 2 levels lower, waiting for this zone to be up here. Now, this zone, it's about 7-8 pips, so it's not a horrible zone. The one thing have a little bit of concern about on this zone is the fact that it did spend a bunch of time here. It had a good exit, right? It did pull back up and retest it before it pushed more to the downside. But again, it did spend a lot of time here, right? It was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and basically 7. So we had about 7 candles worth of data in that one spot. It's always a little bit concerning. I prefer if it was a 1 or 2, maybe 3, but anything over 4 or 5, you have to start worrying about that one. So still waiting for this one to go a little bit higher. And again, that's really, and you guys can see it here. It's the same base right here, but it's not really, whenever you have to go to like multiple time frames down and it still doesn't look great, probably not necessarily the best target. Okay, I see this one continuing to go higher as well because of the risk in the Aussie. Okay, Euro New Zealand. All right, so Euro New Zealand was one of those ones. This one actually would have been an entry. You were up over just over 1 to 1. You would have moved your stop loss to break even, and you would have got stopped out at break even. Nothing you can really do about this one. I don't think I included this one though in the weekly chart this week. The reason why is because the spread on this one was quite high at the time, so I don't think this one got included. Let me see. Yeah, this is now I did include this one. This is the break even, so yeah, it must have lowered itself. So basically, once we got over 1 to 1 in this pair, I like how it kind of came back up again. Once it pushed down to here, it was over 1 to 1. It's like, no, you need to protect yourself, and it started to come back up again. It's like, nope, take yourself out of the trade. It's not going the direction that we want. It's not forming the correct pattern, and it really didn't move. I mean, it kind of came up and went back down again to the same level, and then kind of is just slightly higher as well. So it just kind of petered out on us. But you guys can see, we were up 1 to 1 and a little bit over 1 to 1, and just not worth holding it. Again, that's the thing about Sunday night gaps is, if you can sit there watch them, just not worth taking the risk on them if you don't need to. Okay, so this was unfortunately a break-even trade. Even if you had walked away and kept this one, you would have lost 12 pips on it if you had done it. Again, the risk was very, very small, but this was something that was easy to manage. It was, 2 hours into it, you're up 1 to 1. You could have trailed this one and been fine. Okay. Right now, I don't really love anything about this one. Like I said, we're kind of pushing up after this large drop. It looks like it wants to retrace, at least on the daily. You guys can see this is what it looks like on the 4-hour. It's got kind of clear sailing on the 4-hour. The 1 hour, kind of the same idea, right? It's in this racetrack to the top side, and it's starting to move up. I'd like it to pull back a little bit, but we haven't necessarily got that. You can see here again, this is the indicator's actually pulling on the 1 hour. This was the open basing level, right? It came up and then based. Well, it dropped right back down to that same level, and this one actually was giving you a long. Okay, so this would have been the gap. Had you taken this one, assuming that we were going to get a retrace, again, you'd be in, sitting pretty at this point, right? You're almost at your 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio target. Like I said, I really like the way that the indicator is pulling these 1 hour and 30-minute zones. This is a pretty nice runner, right? This one is up, what, 50 pips? Well, 50 pips, you're 1 to 3, and you're at 82 pips right now. So not a bad little haul, right? Not a bad little haul on this one based off the lower time frames. And again, I know some people are swing traders. They like these, like, oh, I want 500 pips. Well, this market has not been a swing trader's market. It's been a day trader's market. You're looking for 20, 30, maybe 40, 50 pips in trades. That's what you're looking for. That's all we're getting, right? Because what did this do today? It started here, right? It went up 65 pips, then it dropped 60 pips, and then from there, it went up 72 pips. So again, if you're holding it, yeah, I mean, from here to here is great, but there was movement up, movement down, movement back up again. And that's what we need to take advantage of as traders. Okay. So there's your New Zealand. All right. Oh, euro dollar. Okay. Euro dollar started to make some movements. All right. Now this one did not really qualify as much. It opened and it was only about 5 pips away, so it wasn't necessarily huge. We did have a long on this one, right? It came back down, we grabbed it, it bounced again, and it bounced a third time. So it was a very, very small area of risk, right? We're talking about 7 pips, okay? It had moved 17, right? So we were over 2 to 1 risk to reward. We'd already had 10 pips locked in. So this one actually got taken out a bit early. When it came crashing back down again, you guys can see right in this low right here, right? This little kind of pullback. It came back up, it pulled, went higher, and as soon as it went to break down again, it got triggered, okay? This one trailed to this level right here, right? Came back up, we pulled, it went higher, we pulled the stop loss up tight, and then it blew through and went at the bottom. So we only got 10. It did not hit our 1 to 3, but still worked out okay. Like I said, I think this one was more hurt by the fact that we didn't necessarily have any US data. You can see here's where it opened and here's where we are right now. There's just not a lot, and most of it is sideways movement. So had a little bit of perk up, and that was about it. So if you can get 10 pips out of it, you can get 10 pips. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, this was a trail to the top side, and it took some time to kind of kick in, but that's all you can do. So looking on the daily on this one, again, we are very, very low in the curve. We have an area of weekly supply lower. Looking at the 4 hour, you guys can see it's kind of the same situation, right? Move this so you can see it now. Kind of grinding a little bit lower. No really, really great levels. We had one that wasn't bad here, and this one's okay, right? This one's, I guess, it's all right, right? I mean, if you wanted to draw something along here, not horrible, right? Let's see, we'll change this to not horrible, right? Actually, is there a darker gray than silver? Yeah, there you go. That's better. Something along those lines. Is there some? There's a darker one, right? Dim gray. Trying to get the candles to pop more. All right, so you guys can see there's something that's not horrible. I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's the way that it base is a little bit funky. But again, this one is continuing to push to the downside. Interesting enough, too, we are at 108. So again, we are grinding. We're leaving that 110 area, which is good. Eyes at this point and forecasters are going to start looking at this and saying, do we have 105 in the kind of forecast coming up? Right? I mean, think about it. If we have the German economic sentiment is bad tomorrow, that's most likely also going to be a negative draw on this one. And anything that kind of strengthens the U.S. dollar, again, U.S. dollar, U.S. economy, I don't think many people would say is a bad economy. I mean, we heard statements last week that it's doing very, very good, better than expected, all these things. Whenever the economy is doing very, very good and better than expected, interest rates is definitely a topic that comes up. And if they raise our interest rates, guess what? That's going to bring more strength to the dollar. That's going to drive this thing down even further. So there are definitely economic factors out there that could be leading us and driving us even closer to parity. So it's definitely something I've been keeping track of. All right. So as far as any setups on this one, I don't really have much. I think the U.S. traders need to come online so we can kind of get some oomph. Like I said, I think there will be something in the morning. All right. So here was something we had marked off last week. Okay. Okay. On the daily, we'd marked off this little wick over wick. Okay. Now, we weren't necessarily using this wick over wick as a potential long. And the reason why is because for it to get there, it was going to be big into a downtrend. And the question was, how would it react off this area? Now, it's a wick over wick on the 4 hour, on the daily. And again, you can see it, form much, much easier here. Okay. So what it's done since that time, as you guys can see it came down. Okay. It popped in this entry. And again, this was something we're looking for, if it opened in the right place, and it did. I mean, it opened. We got about 2 to 1 before it turned and flipped on us. So at this point, again, if you got into it, you got out of the break even. Worst case scenario, you may have been able to grab some pips off of this one. Did we have it marked on this one? Yeah, you guys can see it. It literally skirted along the top. So the entry probably would have been on one of these two, right? Probably. And again, it's debatable because again, here's where we drew it from. It's debatable whether you got in or not. And again, you were up about 33 pips on there. And again, we needed this one to go 50 and it went 33. So you would definitely probably made 5 pips off this one or something like that. You'd have probably, saved yourself the spread and maybe a couple pips and again, gotten stopped out at a break even. So with it pushing lower now that we're flipping this around and what we're going to start doing is looking for this to break out the bottom even lower, right? More European weakness. The way that we do that is to come here. Okay. We're going to take this zone and mark it in this direction. Okay. Now, remember, this is that Harry Potter trade. We need price to break through, give us a little bit of black space, come back up, touch the zone, and then go short. So really what we're looking to do is we're looking to get into this thing when it breaks through the 118.70, right? 118.70, it's got about 15 pips worth of risk. It has formed a very, very nice basing level. So again, the indicator will probably draw something on it anyway once it passes. But that will be a nice little kind of pull back down, pull back up, and then it has a profit target at 118.20. So about a 50 pip profit target on that one. That's one I actually have an alert set on. This is one I do kind of like this one a lot. So that is what I'm watching on Euro Yen. Euro Swiss, again, going on a daily, you can see super, super low on this curve. Okay, we're getting in close to an area on a weekly basis. Right now we are about 40 pips from it, so there's not a whole lot we can do on this one for the Euro Swiss. I don't really care necessarily about this zone. I'm waiting for this big one down here. And again, that's on the daily, weekly. So really can't do much, nothing on the top. We need to wait for another 40, and the ATR on this one is 33. So it's got 1 day's worth of ATR to go before we can get back down to that zone. So nothing really we can talk about on that one. Euro pound for the day is up 22. All right, you guys can see. Here's where we are on the daily. We're sitting inside of an area of demand. So again, we're already very, very cautious on this one. Okay, it did go up, right? Again, here is kind of what we had going on the 4 hour, right? We had a push down. We got front run, did not make it. It formed a new basing level, right? Based on how it left the area. It came back down, touched it, and then kind of went back up again. So it is consolidating. You can see the lows are getting higher, as well as the high peaks are starting to get lower as well. So it is doing a little bit of consolidation. It is going off those levels. You can see over here on the hourly, this is what we're kind of hitting up top, right? And again, this is that button that's like, oh, if we open here, that would be awesome. Then I'd be looking to go long. Well, we didn't open there. Unfortunately, it didn't make it that far, right? Got close, but we didn't quite open there. Actually, you guys want to see over here. Here's the euro pound opened, and you can see really not tons of movement, right? I mean, it closed here, it opened up here. We needed it to open here, and then we were looking to go long. This one went slightly above and then did nothing, just flat, 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 and started the move. And then what did it do? It started messing with the top side and then flatline again. So I wouldn't say there's any trend today. Again, 22 pips up in 24 hours. Most of that is sideways, and then we basically had 3 hours of up movement, and then it went flat on us again in the consolidation pattern. So not too much going with that. And then looking at Euro CAD, again, super flat even on the 30-minute. You guys can see very low on the curve on the daily. No demand zones. They're sticking out right below it. Kind of the same thing. No great entries. Dropping down to the 1 hour. You can see we've got a little bit of a pullback. But I mean, is it trending? No. I mean, it's not even really moving. I mean, you guys can see even the 30-minute, it's just so flat. So really, really not much to go on there. And that was Euro CAD. So not a whole lot in the European pairs right now. Looking across to the pound. So you guys can see, this is the daily. We talked about this last week. We're consolidating. We're getting close. We have an area of supply above, basically sellers, right? And we have buyers below. And we were really looking to get into one of those two. So everything was going to be really just an intraday play until that time, okay? on the 4-hour, this is kind of what we had. You guys can see we're still in the middle. Again, sellers, buyers, little probably bit of a target down here, still ready to go. On the hourly, you can see again, this is what we had going on here. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting play. This sucker, this is pretty quick too. But again, this is another one of those ones I did not mark down. Okay. This is the other pair that got front run. Here is the gap. Okay. And again, could I have tweaked this one? Just and guys, look, this is how close this one was. Look how close that was. Okay. So unfortunately, we got front run on this pair. We did not get an entry for our Saturday night gaps, and literally look what it did within the first 30 minutes, all the way down. Okay, all the way down. Okay, so unfortunately, that was another one that would have been profitable had we kind of just added a little bit more of a buffer on there. Again, I don't like to add too much buffer on Sunday nights because things can get a little bit funky, but the risk level was good on it. You know, again, when you can get a 30-minute window for this pair and it's only 7 pips, not too bad. And this thing, look, went all the way down, ended up going a total of about 24 to the downside. We just missed the entry on it. So again, that invalidated that one as an actual trade. As I said, it went well past its 1 to 3, but can't add that to the total. So remove that one. Like I said, not going to catch them all, right? This is not Pokemon. But here's the 30-minute window. So looking at the 30-minute now, right, to start to get something on a little bit smaller of a time frame, I'm looking at this area down here, and I don't think this area is too bad. Now, depending on what time we get to this area, will make a big difference. I'm going to preface that right now. It depends what time. Okay, if we're able to grind down and we get, start getting around to, news and that average earnings index is good and everything, there is a potential for something along those lines. But like I said, it depends on what time we get there. Okay, if it's more of a dead time that we get there, then it's not going to matter. If it's at the very, very end of the session, same thing. It may not necessarily matter because, again, there's no U.S. news to really kind of fund and energize the yen to be able to kind of give it the strength or weakness that we need. Okay. Now, with that being said, right, I'm going to ask you guys a question real quick. Okay, let me jump back over to this. Okay, because we're talking about the yen here, and particularly this pair. Looking at news like this about Apple, okay, what do you think the reaction for Apple is going to be tomorrow in the market? Okay. You think Apple's going to go up tomorrow, or you think Apple's most likely going to go down? Okay. I don't expect Apple will have necessarily a great day. Typically, when you miss revenue, it doesn't lead to good things. Again, a lot of that will already be priced in, but again, when retail traders can start dealing with it, then yes. The news outlets tomorrow are also going to be talking about who else is going to miss revenue because the coronavirus. Most likely, unless there's any type of good news to counterbalance it, that's going to lead to probably a negative day because Apple does throw a lot of weight around inside of the indices. So if everything is really, really bad for the Apple, then now all the news media is going to be like, oh, who else is going to miss? And it's just going to be such a negative sentiment. So with that being said, that will have some power on the yen. So I do believe that this one will have some ability to move. Okay. So that's kind of one thing why I'm looking at this area saying, depend on when this hits this zone. That could be a trade, but again, it has to be during good times. All right. Looking at pound Aussie. Okay. You guys can see pound Aussie. This one actually did trigger. Okay. I actually had this one on. So when this one did trigger, you tagged it, went all the way down here. And again, that was for 45 and it continued all the way down to here. So it ended up going 77 all the way down. I only count the 1 to 3 targets. I don't count the further ones. This one actually came all the way down to our 1 to 5 before it pushed back up again. It actually did turn in an area and is driven all the way back again. So would not be taking it a second time. Obviously, the gaps are really good for one piece, but you can see that we do have a level a bit higher, right? We do have this level right there. Okay. Actually, this is probably a 4-hour level. No. Maybe it is the 1 hour. Oh yeah, it's this. Yeah, we had to snap it. That's why. There. Okay, and here we'll extend this out. All right. Oh, need to go farther. So that's kind of what we have going on. So we are technically sitting in an area right now on the pound Aussie. Again, pound Aussie can move. This one has a daily A2R of 176 pips. So if you are risk averse, this is not a trade for you. But if you're okay with it or you want to take smaller lot sizes, the risk in this level is about 23, right? Obviously, the profit target in the other direction is going to be 76 as well as 125. So again, I'm okay with both these targets. The 1 to 3 I think is in a great spot. It's below the, again, it's before we turn to the bottom pivot here. And again, I think this is a great one as well. It's before the body. So both of these aren't bad targets to the downside. And again, this would be considered pound weakness. Okay. And again, if it floats around in here for a little bit and pound news comes in, or we don't hear too much more about the coronavirus, again, that would lead us to kind of flip back to the downside. All right. Um, but yeah, not a bad little setup on that one. And again, like I said, adjust yourself accordingly. Pound dollar, you guys can see here. Pound dollar. So we're not quite at the highest high, and you guys can see it was high. It has been higher than this, but as far as near term goes, we definitely are more on the top side, inside of the curve. And again, a lot of the pound pairs are on that upper side, so we're more or less looking for shorts. Dropping down to a 4-hour, you guys can see that we had a zone up top, and again, this was something we had marked off earlier in the daily. We're quite far from it right now, so I mean, I can just remove it because we got some time before it gets back up in that region. And again, that's taking it off that entire zone. We made it about halfway, and we're starting to turn and flip. So really, not a whole lot. I mean, this is a pretty nice little kind of demand zone, so it's definitely an area we need to respect on the 4-hour. Dropping down to the hourly, again, here it's kind of like, there's not really a whole lot. I mean, here's where the gap is, right? We didn't even get close to that level. Besides that, not too much else you're going to grab in here, right? I mean, think about it. Is there anything easy, any easy explosions in this area? Just one here, right? But look to the left. You got all this in here. So not even the best target, not even the best entry. 30 minutes, there's a couple levels up top that it's formed. But again, this one I would not use. Okay, the reason why is because here's the actual zone itself. It came across and touched the bottom of that zone already. And again, it spent 5 candles here, another 5 candles here. It spent a lot of time there. So not necessarily great. This bottom one is not horrible. It did it did kind of drop, go sideways, and then kind of base again before it took off. Not bad, but I'd probably use it more for target. Like I said, I think the pound news will move this in the morning. We need to get some dollar traders involved this one though. Once the U.S. market is, again, central banks and everything like that come back online for the U.S. Again, I think we will get some more movement in this one as well. Morning news will kind of move it. So nothing overnight for me on that. Pound CAD, kind of the same thing. Again, this one is actually starting to rally back up again. You see, again, we are high on the curve. We had this high section up top. Didn't get the entry. It didn't go quite as high. It was the old gaps from before. I'll take it off now so we can just clean it up a little bit easier. You can see it right now. We're channeling, right? This is a nice little zone here. So again, we're kind of wedged on the 4-hour between top and bottom. Okay, we don't really do too much unless we are inside of that area. And same thing, even the lower time frames, you guys can see we're coming off very, very slow kind of turn. Not really the most beautiful zone though, right? Not really the best. I think top and bottom, these are your best two looking areas right now. And again, this of the two, I also like this top one a lot better. I like how it based. I like how it exploded out. It pushed back up, barely grazed it, and then pushed a little bit lower. Okay, it shows me that the sellers are definitely a little bit more in command of this one. Again, you'd have something along those lines. Which, if this does nothing but green, great place for your 1 to 3 risk to reward target. And that's the pound CAD on the 4-hour. Zone starting at 172.96 to 173.23. Okay. That's pound CAD. Pound Singapore. We're close to that daily again. Again, I'm not touching this one until we get up in that daily range. If we push up again, the same short that we've had last time. Again, here was our short last time. Same short we go in again, 182.13 to 182.88. If you guys are trading that one, that's pound Singapore. Pound Swiss. And I'm not really a huge fan of this one. Up to a zone. Again, that is definitely a valid zone up top. Let's see, 4-hour. 4-hour, you can see it touched it. Let's see, it's saying it's 1 right now. So it's about this time last night it was up there. How much risk is that? 34 is a little 34 is a bit much on that one, but unfortunately. So if we refine this one. Yeah, this one drove all the way back into here, so kind of hard to refine that zone, even on the 4-hour.
just by the way the candles are formed. So it bounced off of it. It's fancy looking. Yeah, be like, oh look, it worked again. There's a supply zone, but I don't know that that would have been the best entry, to be honest with you. It was rallying higher. I mean, I don't know. Going into the weekend, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of that zone. I think it's a little bit too big. You can't refine it on the lower time frame whatsoever. And while it looks fancy here, I don't think that's one you got. I would recommend that you guys take. I do think it will probably come back down into this area here, right? But right now, I think there's better opportunities out there for you than that one. Excuse me. Pound New Zealand, again, high on the curve. On the 4 hour, you guys can see we're definitely approaching high. We still had that top piece up there. I'll leave that up there. As you can see on the hourly, again, this one, we're starting to push up. We have an area of supply right above us, have been unable to get into there. And again, this was another one of those funky ones, right? I mean, look at this thing. We started here, went all the way up, and then crashed all the way back down again. So this was another one that actually opened inside of a zone. Here, you know what? I will delete this one so we don't get it not too confusing. And again, was not the biggest fan of this zone on here, so that's why I wasn't gonna, you know, force those trades. But again, when it opens down here inside of a zone, there was your level, there was your raise back up again. Ended up going right off the gap. This was one that I was a little bit torn on from where it started because, and here, let me explain this why. I'll tell you right now. At first, I had this one in, okay, where's the gap? Okay, we're far enough away from the gap. Okay. And the reason why is because looking at this zone, it is a double bottom. It's a mirror. Now, the green is a little bit lower, just by a few pips. And I was like, okay, not bad. And the more and more I looked at this one, I was like, you know what? I'm like, we touched all the way into here. And I was like, you know what? This one is starting to retrace. How much space is there? And I was like, I'm like, it's about 50 pips to the top. I'm like, is there anything that looks, like it could stop us? I'm like, no. So originally I had this in the Sunday night gap on the top side. And then I was like, you know what? Before it leaves the area, I'm going to have to put it on the other side. And that's where it ended up making it switch. And the reason why is because we drove about 75% in and then just started to rally back out. Started to rally, kind of pushed back down again, rallied, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna fill that gap, and that's what our goal is going to be. So it actually went farther, right? It actually, to fill the gap, this one was 56. Again, I only take the 1 to 3 because the 1 to 3 based off the risk level. Cap this one at 45. So it did go higher. You could have played this one till about 55. I only took it down to the blue target here. It is what it is. So that was the thinking on this one. I debated taking it off the top, and I was kind of like, no, because looking to the left, this zone was a bit higher. Okay, so this one went through a couple different kind of iterations last night. So I liked it as a long, and then I was like, do I take it short here? And I didn't. When I was looking at this one and I was saying, hey, listen, here's where the gap is. That's where we're normally going to play the strategy. But looking to the left, I say, there is actually a zone right here that this gap went into. Okay. That's what kind of was like, I think that would probably be in a better area. So I'm not looking to take a short here. Let's see what it does. And then again, looking up, you got to say, hey, listen, we're so close to the level. Let's see where the conservativeness is. Let's not force it. We just made 50 off of it. Let's let it go. And then what did it do? It popped up just a little bit higher and then formed the base, pushed down, gave us some of that black space that we like to see, pulled up, and then went off to the races. So interesting trade. This was definitely one you had to watch and kind of keep track of. And like I said, at first glance, it was kind of like, oh, there you go, boom, there's your gap. Okay. And then when I was starting to type it up, I'm looking at this one, and I kept looking. I was like, you know what? Looking to the left, I actually like this one more to go back to the gap. Okay, so I had to mix it up a little bit on this one. And again, you guys have to learn to be flexible, and that's what trading is being able to change your mind and not just be a robot with it. Yeah, it was kind of like my first glance, and then I was like, wait a second, yep, I should take this long, and we went. Now it is up again. It is in that same supply zone. The last time I was here, we do had selling. We do have a little bit of a red candle. This one, let's see. Risk on this one is only about 11, so not a horrible piece. Your 1 to 3 is in a great place. It is literally right below or right above the wick over wick. So your 1 to 3 is a great target. Your 1 to 5 is actually in a really great place as well. So if you're looking for a little bit of a pullback or something overnight, this is not really a bad one at all to be able to get into. It's moved a little bit. Your entry on it should have been at 81, and it's now down at 74. So your risk has increased a little bit on it if you're looking to get in. But again, you can wait till it pops back up again, or again, I think we probably will kind of gyrate back a little bit. But if you can get it for a little bit cheaper, that would probably not be bad as well. So that would be pound New Zealand for the night. That's all the pound pairs. Let's go to the New Zealand pairs. All right. So start with New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD on the daily, you guys can see it's kind of at we're last week we talked about how we got back into the middle, right? Kind of in this middle range. We are again pushing back into the bottom side of this one. Now again, a little bit funky of a pair. The spread on this one is 2. Daily, don't love too much. On the 4 hour, you guys can see we had pushed down. We had a little bit of a wick over wick, and again, it hit it. And again, it's pushing to the downside, but still nothing in here that I'm like, you know what? Thank you, Wes, for the follow, buddy. Nothing in here. I was like, yeah, nothing screams buy, right? Here's the hourly, and it got even more boring. And then when I went to the 30-minute, it was like watching paint dry. It's like literally like watching paint dry. I was like, this is just nothing. It was just like, I mean, look at this, literally just bouncing right off of this level. I can draw it for you guys if you want, but I'm pretty sure you guys can see it, right? Look at this, riding along the top of this thing. So it's been a lot of time there. So not really anything that, didn't really necessarily love it. And part of the reason why I didn't take this one as the gap either is because it opened here kind of in a level, right? It was in a level of basing, right? You guys can see right in here where it's turning yellow. It was in a level of basing. It was there, but unfortunately there was such a small bit of movement in there. You're talking about 10 pips. It just didn't make any sense. There was no meat on this one, so there's no trade. Looking at this, here's where we are, right? Again, we had this nice little entry last week. It is pushing down. We still not hit our target, so I don't know if you guys got out of this one or not. It's still pushing back down again. Hasn't quite hit the entry on the 4 hour. This one really didn't do much either. It ended up hitting here, and it's just been very, very slow and laborious. And again, the news just a little while ago pushed it further. Not really a whole lot. Hourly, kind of the same thing, guys. Boring, boring, boring. It opened here almost in the wick over wick, and we were only talking about 7 pips back. Didn't make any sense to put this one on the radar as well. Looking at the yen. Okay. Yen on the daily, again, you guys can see this one is a little bit more in the middle. We're starting to crash back down to the lower side, but again, we bounced off this zone. We popped, came back, we popped, and we're approaching it again. So any type of short, you need to be concerned. Here's your 4 hour. Again, your 4 hour, you can see we were pretty close to it, and we'd marked this kind of top and bottom area, and that's where we're at right now. So wasn't really a super fan of this one either, and you guys can see this is what we have going on. We opened up a little bit, but was it doing anything? Was it trending at all on Friday? The answer is no. So not really any type of trade response. Nothing we can really trade off of this one. So I did not trade that one. And then pound Swiss, you guys can see this one did have something from where we marked last week. So on the daily, again, we're starting to rally back up again. Big spike down, big spike up, big spike back down again, big spike up again. Okay. On the 4 hour, you guys can see we marked this level off last week. Okay. This was, I think, Thursday or something. And again, we got front run a bit. We kept missing it. We had not hit that target, and I just left it on. I didn't change anything on it. And then here's where you see on the hourly. Okay. So you can see that we are here right now. Okay. Last night puts us here. Okay. Right in this level. Okay. Here's where the gap occurred. Right. So we opened here, we closed here, but you guys can see it literally drove up on the next piece, hit that target based off the 4 hour, and went boom, 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 all the way down, 1 to 3, 1 to 5, all the way to the downside. So this was from last Wednesday, I think. I think this was Wednesday night, because again, this was done off of 4 hour, way back over here. Okay, we talked about that level. So yeah, that one completed. I don't know if anybody grabbed that one again. New Zealand Swiss is kind of a strange pair. Not a lot of people trade that one, but the analysis is no different. Again, that was a zone that we had marked off from literally, 214, I guess, is when we threw that on. So yeah, it would have been last Thursday. We had marked that zone. Yeah. So yeah, there's your completion on that one. Let's go over across and look at the dollar pairs. All right. So as you can see on the dollar, I'm gonna actually pull these off right now. Boom. There we go. All right, so looking at this one a daily, you can see as far as curve goes, we're somewhat in the middle. We're getting on the higher side of that piece. But again, we've bounced off this kind of small supply zone, kind of pushed back down at the end, but it's consolidating, right? The lows are getting higher. The highs are kind of stuck in this little range, and it's just kind of moving sideways, right? Nothing super exciting. On the 4 hour, you can kind of see, I'll stretch it out to make it look really, really exciting for you guys. But even then, we up, down, up, sideways. Kind of boring, right? Kind of boring. Here's the 1 hour. Kind of the same thing. Really? Any trend in here? No. I mean, we finally kind of, yes, you could say, oh, look at that. Look at that. It came, right? It bounced right off there. You could say, oh, look. If I just continue that to the side. Yay, look at that. And yeah, you could have taken that one. I mean, that's probably the best looking thing that there was on this pair. Again, based off this level up top. And again, this is not an indicator. Remember, this is a hand drawn. Here, I can delete it. And again, it's because these wicks are lower. And again, nice pop up, one candle, pop back down again. There would have been your zone. And again, remember, you have to know how to draw zones. It's not all about the indicator. Came back up, touched it, and boom. And at the same time, there you go. Okay. So almost at your 1 to 5. That was a little trade you guys could have taken today. That happened what? It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. About 3. It started between 11 and 3. It stayed in that same area. Didn't move at all, and they continued to push the downside. But not a bad little trade. That was about the only thing for the dollar. But besides that, I think anything else I'm going to wait till, like I said, this one I think will react based off of what we're hearing tomorrow. I think, again, the stock market will have some leverage over this guy. No offense or buts about it. Looking at the Swiss. Okay, again, rallying, starting to head back in. Again, we just hit that zone. This was another one of those hand-marked zones that we had marked off. And there's two we said here is your aggressive, there's your conservative. The aggressive kind of went back and forth. It kind of slowed it down. And then the conservative is the one that actually hit and triggered and took this one lower. Now you're not even close to a profit target at this point. Actually, I guess it's not horribly bad. The entry on this would have been 96.23. Again, this is 4 hours. This is from yesterday, late last night. You guys can see here on the hourly. Again, hit not very fast though, very very slow. Again, here was the gap. Here's Sunday. This one rallied back up to the gap, grabbed the area, and then continued to push down and bounce right off this lower level, and is now pushed and it's driving through. So it's kind of done what it's supposed to do. Again, this one was not. I disqualified this one, basically because it moved 4 pips from the it opened 4 pips from the bottom of the gap, so it just wasn't enough room for me to be able to take this one as far as the overnight gap strategy goes, which is fine. Again, there was also a level right above it, so it made more sense to take it based off that level that we had marked here. Okay. All right, so that's dollar Swiss, dollar CAD. All right, so on a daily, dollar CAD came off this sell zone, and we continue to push down. I can delete time frame. On the 4 hour, I just deleted some type of box. 4 hour, you can see really not a whole lot of movement, more or less sideways. And again, market wasn't open today. Let's give this new data. There we go. All right, here's that touch down here. It went higher. So this is the one that we were talking about. Looking for a break. Okay. So there's actually the pop. We did not get the break. Remember, we were looking for a Harry Potter on this one. We wanted to break through this zone and take it when it came out the other end. That did not happen. It actually held the zone, surprisingly enough. I didn't think it would. So again, no harm, no foul, no trade. We'll take it off now and let it go. It looks like it's pushing higher, and we'll see where it goes. Like I said, in here, there's not any great zones. This zone's it's all right. There's nothing in here that stands out that says, yeah, that's a good zone. Got to get in there. Just not seeing at this point, right? That's what we have going on. So I expect we'll get some type of a little bit of a bounce off of this one, but I don't know, not really a whole lot in this one. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we have a zone that we can pull up to here. I'd say I'm probably more bearish this position. Like I said, we have the green, we have the red, we have the green, we have the the red, the green. I'd say I think I'm more bearish in this position than anything else. But I don't really have a good entry to be able to get into this one. Nothing that I'm like, yeah, I love that one. It's 3 pips. I wouldn't take that one. Yeah, I'll wait till the U.S. market gets on board. So. Again, has been kind of like we closed super high up here, marked off this top zone. As you guys can see, again, this is the 4 hour. We basically ended the week there. It did push back down again. I don't hold things like this over the weekend. You can see it didn't do much. This is where it opened, came down, and went right back up again. So, again, no U.S. market, really no driving force on this one. We are, let's see, we're 6 pips from where we were last night in the open. So again, with a pair like this, really nothing we can trade off this one, unfortunately. Again, tomorrow we will get some more movement. All right, so looking at the other big boys, I will say right now, so I don't typically look at silver, right? Silver is not something that I look at too often. But Sean mentioned silver yesterday, and I was like, huh. So this is the one that I was kind of like, Sean, I was like, he's like, oh, silver. And I was like, did you get something off of silver? So basically, silver, here was the nice little pop. The thing came down and then went crazy all the way up and then ended up dropping back down again. So you can see this is the one that I had to mark off the 10 to 1 on it. I just couldn't believe. I was like, man, this thing is just like cruising, right? And then obviously we had the gap down here for today, but this is where, it popped over the weekend. And I was kind of like, that's pretty interesting. See, here's Friday. Here's Sunday. It opened inside of this gap. Nice little basing area. Nice pop. So valid, right? There's your 3 to 1. There's your 5 to 1. There's your 10 to 1 before it turned and came back down again and grabbed more to push back up. So I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I don't know what's up with this, but don't look at this one often, guys. But again, it doesn't matter what it is. We could have, I could have told you this is any chart. When you have an open like that inside of a zone, those are nice trades. Those are real nice trades. So again, silver, I guess it's something we're going to have to start looking at more on a regular basis, right? Now that I'm seeing that, hey, listen, this one is a very technical pair as well. It's just not something that I pay attention to. So looking at this one on a daily, you can see it's kind of consolidated in, right? We have sellers above, buyers below, kind of, squishing up a little bit. Looking on the 4 hour, you can kind of see the, same idea. Let me take this off now so we can clear it. Kind of the same idea. So at this point, I'd wait till we get up into this range. It looks like we are driving back up again. And again, it did have a nice kind of turn off of that. I would probably, let me see. See what we got here. Yeah, that's not a bad zone. I like the reaction off of it. I don't like the fact that it's already been here before. But yeah, so that may not be a bad little zone. Let's see if there's any type of basing right before it. If it pulls back up and then bases right below, then I'm probably not as interested in it. But that zone would start approximately 1807 to 1811. Okay, so you'd be having something along the lines of that, right? Going down to 1793 and then 1784 to the downside. So if you're not looking at this one, definitely worth a check out for silver. Looking across at gold. Okay. Gold, obviously very, very high on the curve right now. In our near term, right, we are obviously high on the curve. So again, we are more looking for shorts than anything else at this point. But again, we have lower highs and we kind of have this higher lows, right? So it is consolidating. It looks like it is kind of getting ready to explode. I did see this, that we are sitting inside of a 4 hour zone. We were pulling away from it. And then we basically pulled back up into it. So, again, on the near term, it's kind of like, this is pretty interesting. Are we going to get up into this zone, and do we have a valid sell in here? And looking at the lower time frames, you can't see it on the 30-minute here. It doesn't mark it off as well. But on the hourly, yeah, it looks like it's not a bad, it's a big candle, so it's not my favorite way to draw a zone. And I was trying to look back, but it's been so long since it's been here. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, it's not bad, right? I mean, again, looking on the 30-minute, it's kind of the same thing. We can't obviously see it, but I was more looking for downside entries. Like if this is continuing to push higher, and again, we can see that seems to be what the near-term trend is. Are there good areas for us to get in? And a little bit of gap in here and a little bit of gap over here. I actually like silver better than gold right now. Oh, excuse me. Baby had me up for like 2 hours in the middle of the night last night. She was in like super daddy mode. I yelled at her because she pulled all the tissues out of a box, and then she was like super clingy with like attached. It was crazy. Basically slept half the night with her laying on my chest. Love her to death, but man, I'm paying for it today. So again, for gold for me, I'm actually more bearish minded at this point. Of the two, I actually think that silver is a little bit more tradable than gold right now. You guys can make the determination yourself which one that you think is better. But for me, I think silver is the better target. So going across to this guy, a little bit of oil, right? So looking at this one on the hourly, right? We had this entry last week, went all the way back up again, took some nice targets out, right? This one triggered what on the 13th? So was that was Friday, right? Yeah, this was like these Thursdays, and since that time hasn't done much. where we are right now, let's see, let's load this guy up. You guys can see we are super low on the curve of this guy, right? Pulling back up again, and we are actually inside of a smaller area of, let's see, let's bring this back down. I do it this way. I want to be able to remember this zone, that's why. Properties, in 30-minute only. So on a daily, you guys can see here, this level of basing, that's kind of what we're pulling back to. It's kind of right above where we are right now. So for me, I'm looking, last time price was able to push up, it filled this gap and then shot away. So that's got me thinking, is there a short possibility in here? Again, looking at the lower time frame, you can see on the 4-hour last week, that's where we had this nice little gap fill, right? And the gap literally came right off of it and pushed away, okay? We actually formed a new lower level, but this level for me, I would actually place here, okay? I would add a little bit more risk because of the, kind of sawtooth effect, as I call it, okay? So for me, this is kind of what I'm looking for as far as getting into some type of a short, okay? So messing with, let's see, common, no, not lavender, hold on. Light gray, fib levels. Basically looking for entry approximately at 5308 to 5360. Again, it's a larger area. This is on a 4-hour. Again, with the profit targets down here at 5147 and 5040. Dropping it down to the hourly, it was kind of like, can we refine that level at all? And the answer is kind of, sort of. It's not as clean here, unfortunately. The gap here was really, really nice. This is kind of a drop and a pullback. So it's not as clean on the lower time frame. If anything, you could potentially take this and move it up a bit. But unfortunately, there's not too much there. On the 30-minute, best we can do is probably there. And that pulled up and not bad. But let's see. That's going to bring us up there. So entry now would be more of the 5341. So quite a bit of ways to go, because again, that's a larger time zone type analysis. Looking on this lower time frame, right? Looking on the lower time frame, you guys can see here that we're literally bouncing back and forth between two zones. I'll just delete those. So this is what we have on the 30-minute. Okay, we have an area now, and again, we did already bounce off of it. We went from 51.75 all over to 50.90, so we're 25 cents up, based off of this nice little pop. Depending on what oil is tomorrow morning, I don't look at this one as much during the day, but these two things are not bad. Although this has been brushed to again a number of times, this 52.38 area is actually an area that I'm not really opposed to that one. It's been there, it's forced it away, it's been very, very strong with it. Again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad area. I am curious to see if we're able to break this, and if we can break this zone right here, I am looking for prices to come back down into this 51 level. Right, basically from 51.60 down to 51, I think is something that's definitely attainable. And again, something along the lines of those if we can break through the bottom side. I love the 1 to 3. The 1 to 5 is maybe a little bit aggressive. That one would bring us down to 50.87, but I think 51 would be a nice little target on that one, and then have it get sucked in with the double zeros. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for oil. NASDAQ down, those things, I'm not really going to mess with these because, again, they're not necessarily open. They will start getting a little bit more of an effect tomorrow morning. You guys can see where they opened, and again, S&P is in an hourly setup, but again, kind of all-time high, right? This one on the daily, again, way, way high on the curve. Again, we have a red, a green, and now we're inside of a red right now already. So again, is this showing us that we are switching into a downtrend, and wouldn't necessarily be surprised tomorrow to see this be red and back down to this area. I'm going to put kind of this in here. Let's see, how many is that? Yeah, I could do that. It's about a 300. What is it? 29. That's a bit far. Wouldn't be surprised if we are in this range tomorrow. Okay, I'll put a line in there. All right, guys. So that's it. Like I said, the three indices really doesn't make much sense. They weren't open today. So a few different trading opportunities. A couple different things that are not horrible to grab out there. Like I said, it's been a trader's market, not a swing holders market. And again, I think tomorrow will be no different. How would you treat these indices gaps? Ernest, they're the same exact way. You don't treat them any differently. The only thing that's different right now with the indice gaps that makes them a little bit more difficult is the fact that because you're at all-time highs, you have to be very suspect about any type of supply zones, right? Because we don't really know where any supply zones are. We know that price is pushing up and pulling back, but we don't necessarily know. We would just be guessing where the actual large areas of sellers are. So that's what kind of makes the gaps a little bit harder with the indices right now. But like on a regular basis, I mean, you'll see gaps in individual stocks all the time, and all the rules are basically the same. You know, the Sunday night gap strategy is just a gap strategy in general. It's not necessarily just a, you know, like I said, I mean, you know, with any gap, you can either use the gap as the supply or demand area, or you could use it as the target. Okay, it depends if it opens inside of a high quality zone or it opens in the middle of nowhere. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys. So let's pull it across. We have 10 people currently inside the drawing. I will give you guys about a minute. I'll shut it down at 1:24:30. Actually, you know what I'm going to do real quick, guys? Actually, before get your tickets in now, I want to cover the scanner real quick. I decided that I'm going to cover the scanner at the end again. Because again, going into tomorrow, this is what we got to prepare for. Again, we have the German news at 5. I think is going to be a mover. The CAD could definitely be something interesting, and then tomorrow night the Aussie number. So looking at the scanner, I wanted you guys to kind of see where we are. And again, this is kind of a weird day because it's almost like a Sunday night type situation. Some markets were open, some weren't. Still waiting on the class. Oh, which one? The gap class? The gap class is basically going to be included with the weekly. All right, so you guys are seeing some setups here on the daily. Okay, again, dollar Swiss, uptrend setup. You have two downtrend setups in dollar CAD and euro dollar. Again, euro dollar, I still am bearish more this pair than anything else, and you're seeing it mixed. You're seeing a couple confirmed things again. Dollar based, dollar based, dollar based. Again, I continue to see this one going lower. I continue to see this one going lower, and this one to me, I believe, will go lower as well. So again, not setups right now. We'll see if there's any type of bounce. European basket, 3 different setups: Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, Euro Dollar. Okay, these downtrend setups are pretty nice, as well as they are confirmed. So again, these are hitting areas. Once we have the U.S. traders come online, they will kind of regulate the euro a little bit more. That will be helpful for tomorrow. Euro yen sideways confirmed, right? Sideways down confirmed. This one I'm looking for a pullback to get this one lower. Again, all the European pairs, again, you guys can see this is big red here. Most of these pairs are in negative territory except the Euro New Zealand. Okay, besides that, everything else is in negative territory. I will continue to see European weakness. Now, what I'm waiting for is to start seeing coronavirus news of it spreading around France or Germany. Then you're going to see it drop even further. I think that would be definitely something that I think it'll happen. It's just when it happens and what the impact is going to be. But I continue to see Eurozone weakness. So again, not necessarily surprised with these. Looking at the CAD basket, again, 2 confirmed, the New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD. Downtrend setup in dollar CAD and then CAD Swiss uptrend setup. So kind of, the CAD basket is a little bit funky with 3 consolidations. Aussie basket. Aussie basket, well, we got a lot, but it's all going straight down. Down, 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 and down. And 1 consolidation with New Zealand, which they are both exposed to the coronavirus kind of effect. Everything else is continuing to go down, and I am still bearish in all these pairs. If you can grab a great little pullback, potentially if on a 4-hour or the 1-hour you get a downtrend set up on your scanner, that's where you're looking to get short. Check the again, this has been working rather well on the 4-hour, or you can change the 3-hour. 4-hour ones, 4-hour ones, you see a downtrend set up in one of these 3 pairs. That's where you jump down. You start looking at the scanner inside of MT4 to pull those little 30-minute levels. That's how you play those the best. All right. France confirms first death in Europe. There you go. It's an 80-year-old Chinese tourist in Paris. Great. Well, there's one. Like I said, Europe has a little bit more issues with it, just by the way that they are established. You start seeing more over there, I think it'll be a problem, and you'll see more weakness. So again, this is the way to play these. Inside of the pound basket, guys, sideways up confirmed. Again, I see we're continuing to see this strength. we are seeing a pullback in both the pound yen and the pound Swiss. So again, there are potential trading situations there. And again, consolidation in the pound US. So for me, as far as the scanner goes right now, again, like a Sunday night, there's not as much out there. The Aussie basket is the one I am most excited about because of the continued push to the downside, as well as a lot of these European pullbacks. I do see European weakness and Aussie weakness. These downtrend setups in the pound, the Euro Aussie, the pound, the Euro pound, and the Euro dollar. I'm looking for trade entries, particularly to get them lower, whether it be breaking a zone or continuing to push to the downside. All right. So with that being said, earners got in there. I'm going to close the giveaway down. That took 3 minutes instead of 1, but it's okay. Winner of the evening is Josh. Somebody's getting a 10 good guess again. Look at that. Mark is complete. Let's give Josh his 25 pip chips. Josh is cranking back up there, man. Look at that. He is rolling. There we go. You guys are good. All right, guys. With that being said, we did definitely go late tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about. Chart schools are definitely going longer and longer, and I hope that's okay with you guys. The 9.09. Yeah, because we have the consistent number of people that know. 10:38. I'm actually going to jump out and head to bed. If you guys need me, I will be around in the morning. I have to finish doing the last little kind of updates onto the site. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. I still need to build like kind of the main page a bit more. But most of the stuff for the courses are in. I'm going to start adding some more quizzes and things. So once I add the quizzes and tests, I will definitely shoot you guys messages and let you know. Go back in there, see if you can take them. See how well you guys do on the test. Like I said, it'll be pictures of what the trend state is, things like that. How would you, what position size would you use for this? Those types of questions. So it'll be interesting. Need to start hating on Josh now. I know, right? Well, it's Josh's daughter. You don't hate too much. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.